Imagine this, two men, two very different lives. One becomes a Harvard graduate, a top executive, a millionaire, luxury homes, expensive cars, everything people chase. The other never goes to college, works as a mechanic, then a janitor. Now ask yourself, who died richer? The obvious answer is wrong. The quiet janitor died with over $8 million. The Harvard executive lost almost everything, not because he lacked intelligence, but because he couldn't control one thing: his behavior. That's the real lesson. Most people think money is about knowledge, investing, markets, hard work. But if that were enough, every finance expert would be rich. The truth is simpler. Money isn't just what you know, it's how you behave when life goes wrong. That's why Morgan Housel wrote The Psychology of Money. Not about getting rich quick, but why smart people lose money, why average people build wealth, and why emotions matter more than math. In this video, we'll explore 7 powerful lessons from the book. Lessons about money, success, and life. Let's find out. Lesson 1. Why behavior beats intelligence. Let's go back to the two men we met a moment ago. The first was Ronald Read, an ordinary mechanic, later a janitor. He never earned a huge salary. He never invented a company. He never became famous. But every month he did something that looked boring. He spent less than he earned. He invested patiently. And then he waited, not for 1 year, not for 5 years, for decades. When Ronald Read passed away, people discovered that this quiet janitor had built a fortune worth more than $8 million. Now compare him to Richard Fiscone, Harvard MBA, a top Wall Street executive. He earned millions. From the outside, he looked like the definition of success. But success slowly turned into overconfidence. His lifestyle became bigger, his expenses became bigger, his risks became bigger, and when the financial crisis arrived, everything fell apart. The millionaire executive went bankrupt. So what separated these two men? It wasn't education, it wasn't income, it wasn't intelligence, it was behavior. Morgan Housel writes that financial success is not a hard science, it's a soft skill. Your relationship with money is shaped more by your habits and emotions than by your IQ. Think about it. Anyone can make money during good times. But can you stay calm when markets crash? Can you avoid showing off when you become successful? Can you keep investing when everyone else is afraid? That's where wealth is really built. Money rewards consistency, not brilliance. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to avoid the mistakes that smart people often make. And that brings us to something even more surprising. If behavior shapes our money decisions, then why do different people behave so differently with money? Lesson 2. No one is crazy. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, why would anyone make such a terrible financial decision? Maybe someone spends every paycheck. Someone else never invests. Another person keeps all their money in cash. It looks irrational. But Morgan Housel says something fascinating. No one is crazy. People make decisions based on the life they've experienced, not the life you've experienced. Think about it. Imagine a child who grows up during a financial crisis. He watches his parents lose everything. Years later, even if he becomes wealthy, he may still avoid investing because, in his mind, safety matters more than growth. Now imagine someone who grows up during a booming economy. For them, taking risks feels completely normal. Same money, different experiences, different decisions. Neither person is crazy. They're simply responding to the world they know. And that's true for all of us. Our beliefs about money are shaped by our childhood, our family, our culture, and the moments that changed our lives. That's why comparing your financial journey to someone else's is often meaningless. Before judging someone's decision, ask yourself, what have they experienced that I haven't? That one question can change not only how you think about money, but how you understand people. Your financial decisions are shaped by your experiences, not just by facts. But here's something even more surprising. What if two people make the exact same decision? One becomes incredibly successful, and the other loses everything? Was it skill, or was it something else? Lesson 3. Luck and risk. Music becomes emotional and reflective. Imagine two people, both talented, both hardworking, both chasing the same dream. One becomes a billionaire, the other never gets the chance. Was one smarter? Not necessarily. Morgan Housel reminds us that every success story has two invisible forces behind it: luck and risk. Take Bill Gates. Yes, he was brilliant. He worked incredibly hard, but he was also one of the very few students in the world who had access to a computer at an early age. That opportunity changed his life. Now think about his close friend, Kent Evans. He was just as talented. Many believed he had an equally bright future. But before that future could begin, he died in a tragic mountain climbing accident. Two gifted people, two completely different outcomes. One met opportunity, the other met tragedy. That's why judging success, or failure, based on one story is dangerous. Sometimes people succeed because of skill, sometimes because of timing, and sometimes because life gives them a chance that others never receive. The same is true for failure. Not every failed business belongs to a lazy person. Not every successful person made every perfect decision. Luck and risk are always part of the equation. So what should we learn from this? If you succeed, stay humble. If you fail, don't lose hope. Control what you can. Accept what you can't. Work hard, stay prepared, but never forget that life is influenced by both luck and risk. And now we come to the most dangerous lesson in the entire book, a lesson that has destroyed billionaires, athletes, business leaders, and ordinary people alike. Lesson 4, the dangerous word. Imagine having everything: a successful career, millions of dollars, a respected name, a life most people only dream about. Now ask yourself, why would someone risk all of it? Because of one dangerous belief? Just a little more. Morgan Housel shares the stories of people who were already incredibly successful, yet they couldn't stop chasing more. Instead of protecting what they had, they risked everything for something they didn't need. The problem wasn't a lack of money. The problem was, they never knew what enough looked like. And that's a trap many of us fall into. We think, I'll be happy when I earn a little more. Then we reach that goal, and immediately set another one. The finish line keeps moving, without realizing it. We're running a race that can never be won. That's why Morgan Housel writes one of the most powerful lines in the entire book. The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Think about your own life. How much is truly enough for you? Because if you never answer that question, no amount of money will ever bring peace. Wealth doesn't come from always wanting more. It comes from knowing when you already have enough. And that leads to another surprising truth. The richest person in the room isn't always the one driving the most expensive car. Sometimes, real wealth is completely invisible. Lesson 5. Wealth is what you don't see. Let's play a simple game. Who looks richer? The person driving a luxury car, or the person driving a 10-year-old car? Most of us would choose the luxury car. But here's the problem. You're only seeing what they spent. You're not seeing what they saved. And that's the biggest misunderstanding about wealth. Morgan Housel explains that wealth is what you don't see. It's the money that hasn't been spent, the investments quietly growing in the background, the savings that give you options when life becomes unpredictable. Anyone can look rich. A loan can buy an expensive watch. A credit card can buy a luxury vacation. But neither of those creates wealth. Real wealth is invisible. It's the money sitting quietly in your investments, the emergency fund that protects your family, the freedom to say no when you need to. That's why many truly wealthy people don't look wealthy at all. They aren't trying to impress others. They're building a future. Don't measure wealth by what people show. Measure it by what they quietly own. And once you understand this, you stop asking, how can I look rich? And start asking, how can I become financially free? Because the money was never really about buying things. It was always about buying something much more valuable. Lesson 6. Money buys freedom. Most people believe money exists for one purpose: to buy a bigger house, a better car, or a more luxurious lifestyle. But Morgan Housel says the greatest value of money is something far more important: freedom. Think about it. Imagine waking up every morning, not because an alarm forces you to, but because you choose to. Imagine leaving a job that makes you unhappy, without worrying about next month's bills. Imagine spending more time with your family, taking care of your health, or finally working on the dream you've been postponing for years. That's what money can really buy. Not status, not attention, time. The freedom to make decisions without fear. And that's why saving money is so powerful. Every amount you save today buys a little more freedom tomorrow. The greatest return on money isn't luxury, it's control over your own life. But there's one final lesson, a lesson so simple that most people ignore it, yet it's the same principle that quietly turned an ordinary janitor into a millionaire. It's called the magic of compounding. Lesson 7. Small, consistent decisions create extraordinary lives. Now think back to the two men from the beginning of this video. One had intelligence, the other had patience, but one chased a lifestyle, the other built lasting wealth. In the end, the difference wasn't luck alone. It wasn't education alone. It was the choices they repeated every single day. And maybe that's the biggest lesson from the psychology of money. Your financial future isn't decided by one big decision. It's shaped by the small choices you make when no one is watching. So, as you leave this video, ask yourself one question. What small money habit can I improve today that my future self will thank me for? Because changing your financial life doesn't start with earning more. It starts with thinking differently. If you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the Insight chapter, and share it with someone who believes money is only about numbers. Because after today, you know the truth. Money isn't just about wealth, it's about the psychology behind every decision you make. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter.